Hi, I'm Josh Ochs, and I'm excited tonight to be presenting here at the Blue Valley School District to parents. If you're watching this video and you want to learn more, you can go to safesmartsocial.com, where we have videos about all of these apps, and you can watch each one of the videos, and they're about 7 minutes long, and they turn you, the parent or the teacher or the educator, into an expert in about 7 minutes on each app. It's this crazy world that we live in out there, and it's only getting wilder with kids getting smartphones at younger and younger ages. I want to challenge you, though, to show kids that they need to shine online. Show them all about colleges and employers and how someday colleges and employers will Google them and search for them online and use Bing and Microsoft to find out their image. And now is the time to start. And I teach kids to do that by talking about being light, bright, and polite. And that's what we're going to show tonight. I'm excited to get the chance to share with you some of my stuff. You can go to safesmartsocial.com to watch all of these videos. And you can watch this video here today that we're about to show. Thanks so much. And thank you to the Blue Valley School District system for bringing me here. This is such an honor. I'm Josh Ochs. Thanks so much.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. I'm Mark Schmidt. I'm the Executive Director of Student Services in Blue Valley. I know we had a little bit of a switch in schedule, and I appreciate your flexibility in coming out on a Wednesday night instead of a Sunday night here today. How many of you have kids that heard Josh Ochs speak in these last 2 weeks? Raise your hands up. Okay, a few of you. We had, through the efforts of one of our assistant principals over at Blue Valley High, Miley Cyrus, she came across Josh a while ago as she was doing some research on student wellness and invited him to come out and speak. And it was so well received that just this last couple of weeks, Josh spoke to all except for one of our high schools. There was a scheduling issue there. And then also one of our middle schools. So we're very excited to have him come out now and share what he shared with our parents. Before we start, I would like to thank the Blue Valley Ed Foundation for sponsoring all of the speeches that we had with the students and also this parent night here tonight. I'd also like to point out and introduce two of our board members, Pam Robinson, the president of the board, and then also Cindy Bowling, who is also here tonight. And this just shows the dedication that our Board of Education has to student wellness. So thank you all for being here this evening. Okay, now this is the portion where I get to read about Josh, so let me get my reading glasses on. 5 years ago, I did not have to do this. I would like to introduce our speaker and the author of the best-selling book, Light, Bright, and Polite, Josh Ochs. With a background in marketing at Disney and a love of all things technology, Josh combines both to help parents and teachers teach their teens and tweens how to be safe and smart on social media. Josh teaches kids of all ages that everything they post on social media will eventually be discovered by their parents, teachers, and their school principal, and someday future employers. He shows families and teenagers practical examples they can always keep it light, bright, and polite on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, text messages, and everyday conversations with their peers. Josh has been quoted and featured as a source on Forbes, CBS News, radio, and is a guest lecturer at USC and UCLA. He lives and works in Los Angeles, where he was born and raised. Please help me welcome Josh Ochs.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks. Good evening. How are we doing? Can everyone in the back hear me okay? I am mic'd up, dual. I've never had two mics. This is really exciting. It's great to see you all here tonight. My name is Josh Ochs, and I'm here from Los Angeles, which is a lot of fun. I got to tell you, I really like Kansas. It's funny that my father was born here, and God seems to have this little joke with me going, haha, I'm sending you back from where you came from, which I think is always great. And I really do love it here. Tonight is going to be a lot of fun. Now let me start off with saying that the theme tonight is really about impressing upon the future with your kids. What I'm about to show you, some kids will not like. I've shared a lot of videos on the web, and some kids go, that's not what this is all about. But really, if you look at their profile, we're getting at the heart of the matter. So tonight is not saying that social media is bad. Tonight is asking the question, how can we use this to make your kids shine online? I will not use buzzwords tonight. I will only give you tactical tips. I do not have all the answers. I'm not a PhD. I'm just a regular businessman that figured out how to help businesses impress customers. And in turn, with my background in family marketing, I figured out how to help kids win over employers and colleges using these digital tools. I happen to be in this weird age group that gets the tools and gets the parents, gets the technology and gets the HR representatives, all in the same thing. So tonight I'm honored to have you here. In the next 45 to 50 minutes, I'm going to give you everything I have. A lot of this is brand new content. I have a new book coming out in January. It's a sequel to my first book. You'll see the first book on the screen in a minute. It's called Light, Bright, and Polite, How to Use Social Media to Impress Colleges and Employers, and that's really at the heart of it. I've gotten the great opportunity to interview deans of business schools, instructors, businesses and academia, everybody in between, and said, what are you looking for? What would you like to see a student doing in real life that accidentally ends up online? Because it will. And they give us wisdom and tactics and tips. Okay, without further ado, tonight's topics. Tonight we're going to talk about the hottest apps. I'm going to give you a blanket overview and show you each individual one. It's going to be impossible to do it in less than 10 minutes, so I do have a resource after this to give you. Many of the hottest apps my team has dedicated the last 6 months to shooting 7-minute videos that make you an expert. In less time than you can cook dinner, we can show you many of the hottest apps and you can watch them and have a clear understanding. You see, the biggest thing that we're going to talk about tonight is that you do not need to be afraid of how quickly this is changing. I'm going to make it so that you can quickly understand and put many of these hottest apps in a bucket, so you'll know exactly where to put them. Next, we're going to look at some Instagram safety. We're going to look at some Miley Cyrus versus Hanna Montana. And I'll show you exactly how I'm going to entertain about 2,500 of your students tomorrow by being relevant with them, because they know who Miley is and they used to remember Hanna Montana. Next, we're going to show you, and this is where it kicks into high gear, online search results. The new resume is all about the top search engines. I'm going to show you some tactics there that will even work for you as adults. And then some Snapchat safety. And then last, how to shine online with your volunteer work. And I'm going to give you a bunch of tactics there on how to use what you're doing in real life. You must live a life that's light, bright, and polite. If you have a child in this room that does not want to listen to any of this, then it's going to be very difficult for us to change them. But if they're a good, mild-mannered kid that wants to work hard, we're going to show them how to avoid getting in trouble. All right, first, let's dive into some hottest apps. There's so many of them that they will not fit on this slide. The next slide I'll have more, and then I'm going to give you a resource. You ready? First of all, many of us know what Facebook is. You can connect with friends. It has pictures plus video. It is the godfather of social media, right? And because it has pictures and video and a center feed system, you can go in and get lost for a long time. Unfortunately, a lot of kids, as many of us know, are leaving Facebook right now because many of you are now getting on it. Now, I've got a little tactical tip that's going in the book. If you want to be friends with your kids, here's a tip. If you become friends with them on Facebook or any of these networks, consider this. This is not an expert giving you advice that works every time, but this is a good guideline. Consider when you're friends with your kid on any one of these networks, not commenting or liking immediately when you see their stuff. Consider not saying, oh honey, I love you, baby, I'll see you tonight for dinner, I'm so excited, I'm so proud of you. This is their space, hence why they're leaving this network. Does that make sense? Their bedroom, when their door is closed, you probably knock first, right? And you give them a little bit of respect. Try and do that tonight. That's what they're asking you to do. Okay, let's go next. Twitter, 140 character updates. It's mostly textual. Where Facebook is message plus video plus picture. Just about anything works on Facebook. Twitter is 100% text. Now, nowadays you can upload pictures. It's getting very pictorial, but it limits it to 140 characters, and that's really where the beauty of this is. Okay, next. Instagram. It's all about imagery. There is messaging below the imagery, but it's a square image. The reason it's square is because you can fit the maximum amount of picture pixels in a square image. You get the best bang for your little piece of real estate. And that's why the future is going towards square images, thanks to Instagram. Vine. Vine is 6-second videos. And they're looping. So when you open up the Vine app, instead of it being 140 characters, you get 6 seconds of video. Now in the beginning you would think, what the heck can you do in 6 seconds? You can tell a whole story. It is absolutely incredible what these kids nowadays have done. Now, you should be asking, Josh, where do these people get their money? How does this work? Where's the advertisements? Are they talking to my kid and selling to my kid? Facebook owns Instagram. Look at that on the list. Facebook owns Instagram. Facebook has an ad system in it. They're making money. And they're plugging it into Instagram, and they're figuring out how to make Instagram money. So the same marketing people are behind it. Next, Twitter owns Vine. So the king in text owns the 6-second video marketing system. So there's money behind these top 4. All right, next, we have the machine that all of your kids are using, Snapchat. And this is temporary videos and pics. Now look at that logo carefully, and there's a reason why I'm showing you the logos instead of just their names. I want you to quickly and easily... Do we have any kids in the room today? No, good. Oh, you do? Oh, okay, you're going to hate me at the end. I'm sorry. We've only got one. I'll buy you ice cream. It's okay. I want you to be able to look at your kid's phone quickly and know exactly what these apps look like. Okay, so take a good look at those. Also, I'm going to make all of these images available to you later. Next, so Snapchat is temporary videos. Here's what the company promises. And your kids don't know the difference. The company says, hey, if you send your friend a video or a picture, we will make sure it expires in 6 to 15 seconds. And it'll be gone forever. And if you want, all the friends that you accumulated, if you want to put it to your story, we'll make it expire in 24 hours. Go ahead, have some fun. Kids trust that. Probably because all of you are such great parents, they have a wonderful home. So they see this app in their home, they're like, hey, it must be true. I'm about to show you in a few minutes how you can download those videos illegally against their terms of service without letting the sender know that you even viewed it and send it anywhere. And this is how kids are getting in trouble. All right, next, Ask FM. We're going to move quick over this one. There's a few apps that I do not professionally recommend whatsoever. Many of us are familiar with TV shows like The Kardashians versus Discovery Channel. Different channels. I'm not saying TV is good for kids, but if you're watching the Discovery Channel for a few hours, you're probably going to learn about the Earth. You're going to learn about something interesting. If you're watching The Kardashians, you're probably not going to learn about much. Am I right? So that's where these get in. These are just like TV shows. The Ask FM, Whisper, Secret, and Yik Yak. I'm going to show you what their logos look like on the next page. I ran out of room. Unfortunately, these are the ones you want to stay away from, and here's why. They're anonymous. Anytime we as human beings, and I'm not blaming the kids, anytime we as human beings are anonymous, not so great things come out. The rest of them have a picture and a name and a username tied to them. Some of these anonymous apps have nothing. They just have your phone's ID or your geolocation. Next, we have Kik Messenger and WhatsApp, and these are important to note. So that if the anonymous ones let you post and ask questions and other people comment and shoot them up and shoot them down, Kik Messenger does something interesting. We're all familiar with how texting works. Kik Messenger and WhatsApp, they're combined together even though they're completely separate companies, lets your kids bypass the texting so you do not need unlimited texting plans. They use the data instead to send messaging to each one of the apps so you can add users. This is where it gets interesting. Kik Messenger seems like it's all the rage here in your city. I've spoken to a few thousand of your kids, and unfortunately, Kik Messenger is not based in the United States. It's based in Canada. Here's why that's important. One, if there's a huge cyberbullying attempt or some kind of a larger police issue, we do not have jurisdiction there. And we don't know what they do with their data. They're out of the United States. So I'm always telling people, be aware of where the company is located. It does mean something. Next, WhatsApp is owned by Facebook. WhatsApp is based where I'm based in Southern California. Actually, Snapchat is really close to me. WhatsApp is, I think, up in the Bay Area. But The point is we have jurisdiction here in the United States. It does mean a little bit. If you're putting all of your data into somewhere that's far away, be aware of that. These two apps let you send text to each other, to people. But let me explain the very small difference. Kik Messenger lets you create a username. And anybody can get a hold of that username and message you. You can block them, but you can send messages, pictures, videos, all kinds of stuff. WhatsApp is a little bit different. WhatsApp doesn't have a username. Your username is your cell phone number. And you must activate it by authenticating that that cell phone number is your own, and the system does that. And then anyone you give your phone number, you can bypass your text plan and use the WhatsApp app. People overseas use this all the time. Any questions there? Okay. We're going to move on to the next one. These are a lot of apps. This is going to look really busy, but let me talk about the first 4. Every one of these screenshots has a very big story behind them. These are all 7-minute videos. They're all free for you. Your district will send them to you. I'll give you the website for free. If you have a half an hour in the evening, I encourage you to go take a look at these. First of all, Instagram and Snapchat, we talked about them. They're at the top because I trust them the most. I'm going to tell you which ones I think it's safest for your kids to be on. I'm not saying Instagram is the best. I'm not saying any one of these are 100% safe. But if you have to pick some, and your kids need to be on social a little bit, otherwise they're not going to have a lot of fun, Instagram and Snapchat can be good, as long as you have to talk with them about Snapchat, about sexting. That sending inappropriate photos of themselves does not mean that that boy or that girl that receives them, it does not disappear in their hands. It can go much, much further. Hence why I'm going to explain Snapchat in a minute. I do not share these slides with your kids, and I'm not this candid with your kids ever. I'm more motivational and peppy and fun. So forgive me if we're taking a little bit too much time on this. I want to make sure we're all on the same foundation. So Snapchat can be very good. Some kids send 200 Snapchats a day. It's unbelievable. Now, we're just trying to show them it's okay to be fun. It's okay to be a kid. Just make sure you're not recording anything that could get you in trouble, that could be rude, that wouldn't be seen as light, bright, and polite. Okay, the next one down is Facebook. It's wonderful. The reason it's down is because it's the most popular two are Instagram and Facebook with most all of your kids. Twitter's pretty popular too. I don't have that Twitter video made. We make it next week. Facebook is very popular. WhatsApp versus Kik Messenger. We have about a 6-minute video that shows you the difference between the two. You can dive in and know all about them. The next one, these are the next 4 on the right. What is Whisper, Secret, and Ask FM and Yik Yak? Take a close look at those. You're welcome to take a picture of the screen. These 4, I'm sorry to you that's in the room for saying this, but you want to have a talk with your kids if they have any of these 4 that are surrounded in red. Whisper, Secret, Ask FM, and Yik Yak. Yik Yak being the least probably dangerous, but still a lot of cyberbullying happens. And schools in this district, principals in this district have told me they about had it in a 72-hour period, a 3-day period, because Yik Yak nearly tore the school apart because things were happening. Okay? I've talked with each one of your principals in this district, except for the one that I couldn't make it to, about how to geo-fence the last one on the bottom, Yik Yak. There is a way to email the company and say, please disable within a 200-yard radius this latitude and longitude location so that this app doesn't work. It takes a couple weeks, but just know that your principals are alerted of that. See the little Twitter guy in the bottom left? We're all familiar with Twitter. That video is coming soon. Now, all of these videos are free at safesmartsocial.com. I'm not sure why my little guy is still loading down there. That's a little bit annoying. I'm sorry for that. But it's at safesmartsocial.com. Let me go back to the main slide so that you can see what that is. It's very important, this website. I have nothing to sell to you. I just want to make sure that you know that these videos are free. So safesmartsocial.com. And I believe that your school will send you this link as well. Okay. Any questions so far? We've talked about a lot of apps. Any questions? Yes? FaceTime, the iPhone app, and your question is, I'm going to repeat it for the cameras, is FaceTime considered an app? FaceTime is inherent in an iPhone, and it only works from iPhone to iPhone, which still is a large population. It is a feature, not really an app. and it's more of just video chatting between the two kids, which can still be problematic. But they seem to be on many of these apps even more. But FaceTime it's more like a phone call with video. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. You should be asking, who is this guy? Who's Josh Ochs? 5 years ago in Los Angeles, I decided to run for politics. I was the youngest person on the ballot. I knew nothing about politics, how to run. I didn't know any of the politicians. I had zero money dedicated to this campaign, and yet I decided to run. And let me tell you a little bit about the race. As I was racing, or in the campaign, I set out with a simple goal. I said, if I knock on more doors than anybody else, and I have a little bit more energy than these other people, I'm half their age, I said, I bet that I can get to know the lay of the land, and I can get people to know me. They're probably going to like me if they meet me. So as I was going through the campaign, I quickly was alerted by some of my friends, my young crew of grassroots team members. We were all volunteers. They said, Josh, some people are writing really bad things about you on the web. I said, really? What are they saying? Well, you have to just go read it. So I went on Google, and I searched. And I didn't see anything. I said, guys, this isn't true. I looked at page 1 and 2. They said, no, it's there. Some people are writing bad blogs about you. All right. So I ended up finding it, and I'm going to show you what I was doing wrong to find out what people are saying bad about me, because it has to do with how colleges look at your kids online. Colleges are like my friends. They see me in a very different light than I see myself, and I'm going to show that to you. So as I was going through the campaign, I realized that these people were saying mean things about me. They had never met me. I wasn't a campaign person. I had nothing online. I wasn't even known at all. So how could they assume or make judgment? I thought, we need to hang out. Let's go to coffee. So I emailed them, because they didn't have a phone number. They were hiding behind their blog. And I said, hey, how about we hang out? Let's go to coffee. I can bring some of my friends with me. Let's hang out. I'd love to talk to you about the issues. I have a feeling you're going to like to hang out. They said, no, Josh, we don't want to get to know you. We do not want to meet you. We're going to continue to blog about you negatively. If we do ever see you, we'll see you in the public debate where you sit up on stage and we'll ask you questions in front of everybody. I said, all right. And it really hurt my feelings, because people wanted to hide behind their blog. They wanted to write negative things. They'd never met me. Now, if it hurts my feelings and I'm this outgoing to get up in front of 1,400 kids at once tomorrow, guess what it's doing to your kids? Hurts. So the reason I'm here today and the reason I'm speaking to all your kids is I found a way to get over it without yelling at them, without getting angry, and without running away. I had a lot of good people on my side. I talked it over. When they said no and I made my offer to meet with them, I ended up going to the debate one night. And as I was up on stage and I was the underdog in the corner, there was about 7 to 10 of us up there, I remember this person coming in, the mean, we're just going to call this the mean person, and she came to the front and she said, I don't want to ask anybody a question except for Josh. And she pointed to me. And it's how you say it, it's not what you say. So she had a normal question, but she was just trying to dig into me. And I went, well, that's a very good question. And I took that moment to care about her one vote. And I said, you know, I could get really angry. I have every right. This woman is not very nice. And I said, you know, that's a very good point. Let me talk to you and answer that for you. And I was sweating. It was not fun. But at the end of the night, somebody came up from the back of the room and they said, Josh, you do not know me. But yesterday I wasn't going to vote for you, and today I am. And I said, thank you. Why is that? She said, well, the way you treated that woman won me over, and it won 10 other people in the back of the room. Because, you know, we know that woman is not nice. She's really mean to everybody. But the way you treated her and responded to her won us over, and now we're all voting for you. And in a small election, 10 votes is a lot of votes. It means 10 houses I don't need to knock on. So the point is, and I share with kids, it's how you respond to people. If somebody picks on you online, on a campaign, offline, it doesn't matter. How you respond means more than what they say. People are going to like you way more if you just go, hey, sorry that you feel that way, right? And move on. Okay. So after getting beaten up online in the campaign, here's me voting for myself in the voting booth. I ended up coming out of it with a set of techniques. Hey, Josh, FYI, this thing clicks twice every time I click it. We'll look at it later. I ended up coming away with a book called Light, Bright, and Polite: How Professionals and Businesses Can Safely and Effectively Navigate Social. It comes out with a bunch of tactical tips on how to win over voters, the way in which to collect data that works for businesses and campaigns. It's very nerdy. It did very well on Amazon. And now I travel the country training some of the world's biggest companies how to use tactical resources and also to win over customers. So you digital and old school. Colleges started saying to me, they said, hey, if you're working with these marketing departments, can you come and work with our kids in the college classes and be a guest lecturer? I said yes, and then it went to high schools and then middle schools. My next book is the green and white duplicate of that. It comes out in January. It's called Light, Bright, and Polite: How to Win Over Colleges and Employers Using Social Media. Very similar, a lot of the stuff you see tonight, plus a bunch more. Okay, enough about me. I've spoken to, how many people in this room have a kid that I've spoken to this week so far, or the last 2 weeks? Raise your hand. Please don't be shy with me, raise it high. Okay, cool, about a third of the room, great. How many have a kid at Southwest and West tomorrow that I'm speaking to? Cool, about another 20%. Okay, I've asked, I'm sorry, what? South, I think. Is there a South? There's a North? I didn't get to go to North. You have a North? Oh, they were. Yeah, I was there. Northwest. I've been to every school except for North. I went to Leawood Middle School. I only spoke to the 8th graders. But I'll be back. I love Kansas. All right, let's keep moving. I've asked all of your kids, and I'm not going to ask you, do you have an iPhone? And then I ask them, do you have an Android? They go crazy. Do you have the Vine app, the Instagram app, Kick, WhatsApp? Let me give you the stats. 95% of your kids have an iPhone, just so you know. Next, 80% of your kids, 70 to 80% of your kids have used the Vine app in the last week, and they're more passive than they are active, meaning they're not posting 6 seconds videos, they're watching them. 90% of them raise their hand for Instagram, meaning they're on it every day. Kick and WhatsApp. Kick is probably 5% of them, and WhatsApp is almost 0. It's more of an international app, even though it's hot in other cities. Snapchat, 90% of them raise their hand. Twitter, about 60 to 70% of them are raising their hands. And Yik Yak, I feel like we've exterminated that, meaning it's very, very low, if anything. All right, how to get in trouble on Instagram. And I'm going to talk to you about a real-life example, and I love to ask your kids this question. Who's seen Keeping Up with the Kardashians? One of my least favorite shows. And they all know who this person is. His name is Jonathan. He's Kim I have to stay relevant. I must use examples like this to keep your kids' attention for an hour. So if you're shaking your head like, Josh, why are you talking about this? It's because they listen, unfortunately. And I've tried everything else, and this seems to work. And I share with the kids, Jonathan is somewhat dramatic, and what I'm about to share with you actually happened. And we're able to pick on him because he left it up. And it got him in a lot of trouble. But we want to use celebrities as good examples of what not to do. So Jonathan went out to dinner one night, or lunch, and he was at a restaurant, and he said, now this is a lobster salad. In the upper right, it says that. Very small text. And it's hard to see, and I'm not sure if I have a little clicker or a laser on this thing. And if I do, it's not easy to... There it is. He checks in. I'm not sure if you can see that, but at 75 Main, when you use that @ sign, it tags it to another business online or a user. What happens here is, he said, basically, I'm at this venue. When you tag it, you click on that, it has an address. Of course, a business would want to have their address. Then he says, what's next? And what's next means, I'm here, I'm going to be here for another hour. Now, what he does next is show us his wrist. And on his wrist, he has a very expensive watch. More than $100,000. How do I know that? I don't even wear a watch. I don't care about this guy. What I do care about is that he puts the 22 carats and the brand name in the text. Like a genius. So watch this. This is a Jacobs & Company 20.22 carat watch. And I think I overdressed my wrist today, he says, with my Jacobs & Company 22 carats. It's a bit much for daytime, LOL. Now, kids, guess what happens next? And they're all like, half of them are like, uh-oh. Well, it turns out when he left that restaurant, somebody in the corner said, hey, I'm over here. I'm a huge fan of your show, Jonathan. Can I get your autograph? Jonathan, being the not so humble person that he is, said, sure. Walks over to them, and the person proceeds to beat him up and try and take the watch. Now, Jonathan has a bodyguard. So the bodyguard got involved very quickly, and I think he was safe. I'm not sure if the watch got stolen, but look how public it is. Somebody says at the bottom, too bad somebody robbed you of it. Now, I'm not sure if his watch actually got stolen, but the point is, he was pretty beaten up. And I try and show kids the moral of the story is, don't post your location plus your jewelry. Don't post your location plus anything fancy your parents just bought. Car plus house, car plus anything they would have to do the password or address. Be very, very careful. If it's going to happen to him, you're a much easier target. Okay? Cool. Now I'm going to walk you through 3 photos of myself. I'm going to use myself as a bad example because I can pick on myself. Here is a picture of me checking in at home. Happy Saturday, our dog Sam says hi. Now, if you were to click on that at home little word, it would show up an image of a map and show you where I live. Harmless, right? And I'm giving you my dog's name. Next. Guess what city's on the border of Texas and Oklahoma? You guessed it. We just drove through Texahoma. I'm letting people know that I'm driving. The next one, today we visited the Grand Canyon, my parents and I. So if I'm driving on a road trip and I live in Los Angeles and you know exactly where I live because I just gave it to you and you know my dog's name, you know that I won't be home for 6 to 8 hours at the minimum. You could go to my back door at my house, break in. While you're robbing my house, if the neighbor comes over, you could say, oh, no, I'm just feeding Sam the dog because they're on a road trip today. They're at the Grand Canyon. Everything's accurate. The neighbor would go, yeah, that's funny. You want to get their mail too? Okay, cool. What does Light, Bright, and Polite look like? We're going to look at Miley Cyrus versus Hanna Montana. This is brand new content. Your kids are going to be on the edge of their seat tomorrow. I think this is very, very relevant. I'm kind of stoked about this. Okay, we're going to look at a bunch of tweets. We're going to look at bad ones on the Miley side, and we're going to look at good ones on the Hanna Montana side. Many of you may know Hanna Montana was a fictional character that a lot of your kids grew up watching, and then Miley Cyrus is her in real life. So they're the same actor. It's just Miley has grown up, unfortunately, and Hanna was this wholesome person. Hanna is what every employer wants. Nice, kind, sweet. And Miley Cyrus is, well, Miley Cyrus. Okay, we're going to show you right now how to upset your teacher, how Miley Cyrus would probably upset her coach, how Miley Cyrus would be dramatic, how Miley Cyrus would upset her cheer team, and how Miley Cyrus would get fired. You can imagine your kids are going to be like, heck yes, this is fun. Okay, how Miley Cyrus would upset her teacher or how you could upset your teacher. OMG, this class is so lame. I'd rather be watching TV. Miley Cyrus says on TV. Many of your kids say this on social media. Now, not all of yours. No, not mine, Josh. Well, they're saying it somewhere or they want to say it somewhere. So we're showing it to them. This is what Miley would say. What would her counterpart, the more wholesome one, say that's hireable? She'd probably say, I'm ready for the weekend. They want to post. Let's let them post. Let's just make sure they realize that one of them is going to get the job, the college, the scholarship, and one of them isn't. Next. How to upset your coach, Miley Cyrus. Say this. The other football team sucks. I hope they lose. Now, good sportsmanship-like conduct happens on the field and off the field. What would Hanna say? We're up by 24 points. Go team. Find the positive. Next. How to be dramatic. My boyfriend just broke up with me. I'm crying now. He was a waste of my time. What would Hanna say? I'm so lucky I have great friends to support me. How to upset the cheer team. Our cheer team needs help. They're not very good picking on people when they're out there performing. Well, what would Hanna say? I think next year I'm trying out for that cheer team. Maybe I can do better. One is a part of the problem. One is a part of the solution. Next, how to get fired. This is a true story. Let me back up here. Many of us have seen, this thing loves to double click. Many of us have seen or heard of Cisco, the very big electronics company that does data and connections. It's a pretty rad job. If you get to work in San Francisco at Cisco, let me tell you, it's a good white-collar salary job. Your parents would be, or you would be very proud of your kid if you learned more about this company. This young woman getting right out of college, or maybe 2 or 3 years out of college, applies, gets a job. She learns that day. What's the next thing she does? She tweets about it. She sends the following tweet. This actually happened. The next tweet, so the left tweet is what Miley Cyrus might say. The right tweet is what an employee at the company said back to her on Twitter. First, Cisco just offered me a job. Now I have to weigh the fat paycheck against the daily commute and hating the work. Now, parents, you are geniuses. You know that that's searchable. The word Cisco, what is Cisco paying a lot of people to do? To listen on the web. Customer service is just listening on Twitter. Hey, if somebody uses the word Cisco, we want to know what's going on. So just like Time Warner Cable or any Verizon Wireless, anything else, they want to know how to quickly help with customer support. Well, guess what? One of the customer service managers, he was a senior level salesperson in more of a B2B role, heard that, and he didn't have anything to worry about. He loves his company, his fatty paycheck. He writes, who's the hiring manager? I'm sure they would love to know that you will hate the work. We here at Cisco are well versed in the web. That person got a quick call. Hey, I'm so sorry, we're retracting the offer. This is all over ABC, NBC.com, all these huge websites. This young woman was talked about forever. She's having a hard time getting a job. I'm hoping this doesn't ever happen to your kids, and that's why I'm going to share it with them tomorrow. This is how quickly it can happen. Guess what? Colleges are the same way. KU, K-State, I don't care who it is. You want a full ride? You tweet something like this? You do something inappropriate on their campus when they can retract it? You will be with that college for the rest of your life. Kids, if you want to go there, you're going to be like, yeah, I went to K-State. This is awesome. That's who I am. That's my alma mater. I'm part of that family. Do you think they want somebody that's going to say, I hated it there, right? Okay. I scare your kids a little bit. I'm sorry. But I think it's better. And this is where I teach kids. I go, look, this is what I want you to consider doing on social media. Asking yourself, before I send this, before I press the submit button, is this going to be permanent? Yes. Okay, then let's ask ourselves these 3 questions because we can't get back after the submit button. First, is this something that's light? That means, is it positive? Is it fun? If it is, check. Is this something that's bright? That means be smart, think before you send it. Is Cisco going to see it? Is KU? Is K-State going to see it? USC, UCLA, Stanford? Is my teacher going to see it? If it is, check. It's bright. Next, polite. That means, am I proud of it the next day when my principal sees it, my parents see it in 10 years? If I am, then it's light, bright, and polite. It's our little check with kids. And that's why it's the title of the book, because this isn't about the technology, people. It's not, oh, I can't keep up with the apps. That seems to be the biggest frustration with parents. Please do not be frustrated with not being able to keep up. Remind your kids, like I remind some of the world's biggest businesses, people still buy products the same way. They're like, oh, we got to be online and social media. No. You still pull out your Visa or MasterCard, you go to a website, and you buy products the same way. And they go, oh. Same thing with your kids. It's how nice you are online. You're still a person. So if you can be wholesome online, it's that simple. They're going to want to accept or give a scholarship to somebody that's wholesome. And I'm going to show you some wholesome techniques, some little reverse tips that I have. Okay, texts and Snapchats can be saved. How to get in trouble on Snapchat. I'm going to use my friend as an example. How are we doing so far? We doing okay? Nod your head if this is okay. Okay, good. If I need to slow down, please raise your hand. How to get in trouble on Snapchat. So here's my buddy Blake. Blake's in Los Angeles, and he works in the tech industry with me. Blake's a big surfer. And so I get a Snapchat from him every once in a while that says, hey, dude, you want to go surfing tomorrow? And he sends it to a lot of people. It expires. It's harmless. It's somewhat motivational. One day, it had a good quote in it. And at the end of it, and he said, yeah, tomorrow's Tuesday. If you want to go surfing, let me know. And I downloaded it, and I sent it back to him in a text message. That's an iPhone text message I tried to emulate. Now, let me repeat that, because your kids, I repeated for them. I took data that is not supposed to be able to be downloaded. I downloaded it to my phone, and I texted it to him so that he can replay it not once, but 1,000 times if he wants to. He can post it to Facebook, Twitter. It can go on the newspaper the next day if I really wanted to. I texted to him. I said, hey, dude, this is my favorite. Thanks, man. He called me back and said, how'd you do that? I said, well, you sent me a video, and I sent it back to you. What are you talking about? He goes, dude, you don't understand. The logo of Snapchat is a little ghost. It's supposed to disappear after 6 seconds. said, yeah, but you sent me data, and do you think data really disappears? Come on. He said, you know what's really freaky is that in my phone, when I send videos normally and people view them, it says, hey, they've watched it. You downloaded it, sent it to me, but it doesn't say that you watched it. This is where I remind your kids, if you ever feel the pressure to share with somebody an inappropriate picture or video, it turns out they are one of the 1 in 5 people that knows how to download this data. They have a 99-cent app that can ruin your reputation because if you do something inappropriate, that can end up on Facebook the next day. Snapchat is not on our side. They're not here to look out after your kids. Okay, any questions there? There's another app. I mean, that takes like half an hour. Your kids will have your kids teach you. It's another app. No, it's a good question. Yeah, it's another app. And I just talk to your kids. Hey, I learned today that Snapchat videos, you can replay them 1,000 times. Say that to your kids. And they go, no, you can't. No, I learned how to do it. And have this talk with your kids. Even though I've talked with most of your kids, some of you have middle schoolers. I've never met them. They've never seen this. So just have that talk. Nothing. And here's what doesn't work. Adults telling kids, everything's public. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. I've tried it to thousands of kids. They glaze over. So we need to come up with ways to do 2 things. One, you need, and I'm going to pause this for 1 sec, you need to turn your kids into experts. I want each one of you in the next week to think about how can I ask my kids to teach me technology on the phone? How can I ask my kids to show me how Instagram works because I, as the parent, want to set an Instagram up for myself? Not to watch my kids, and maybe I won't even be friends with them, but I want to take 1 picture a week and start my own Instagram. Your kids will probably look at you and go, why? You go, no, I genuinely want you to teach me how Instagram works. Can you show me? Here's my phone. Just walk me through it slowly, right? Now the kids are like, well, sweet. Now I can show you a couple things. And then the next month, you can set up another one. But turn your kids into the expert, because then you can be the expert at other times. And say, no, you taught me how the technology works. I'm going to teach you how the future works. I'm going to show you what your reputation is going to look like in the long run. It's cool that this tool works now, but now I'm going to take over and be the expert in other areas. And we found that that works really well. So please don't get overwhelmed. Have your kids walk you through it. And the reason for this is parents learn with manuals. We all learn with guides. We love step-by-step training. Kids don't. Kids break things. Kids try it and they go, I'm just going to hit this button. I don't have time for you to do that. Let's just boom, boom, boom. Dad, I figured it out. And that's because they're not afraid. Maybe it's because they've never paid for something or broken something they've had to pay for. But somehow they're just clicking on things because they don't know what bad will happen until they try it. And it's okay for you to do the same thing. You're not going to hurt anything. Have your kids teach it. Ask your kids, so how'd you figure that out? Okay? Now, yes? For text?
Just text.
Yeah, for text. So the question for... okay, so let me step back here. That's a good question. I'm gonna answer the question a bigger term. So the question is, how can I tell if people can see? Well, see what I've sent or if they've read it and so on. Well, every app is completely different. Snapchat works, it's cross-platform. It works on iPhones and Androids. And typically it's going to show if it's been delivered and if it's been read or watched. And so that'll work on any network because it's made by another network. Now, some of us in our text message system have read receipts on, which means if your kid reads it, it not only says delivered, it says read, which kids hate that on, right? Many of you parents probably have that on because you haven't taken the time to turn it off because you're keeping the lights on, right? So that's a thing called a read receipt. There's one more thing that I don't have anywhere in here, and I've turned it on for my family because it's fun. How many of us have iPhones in this room? Raise your hand if you're a parent. Raise it high. Okay, most of us. How many have Androids? Raise it high. Okay, so 10% of us have Androids. Those of you that have iPhones, if you've ever used an app called Find My Friends, have you guys ever used that? Write this down, please, if you have a pen. Find My Friends. And all you have to do is type this in your iPhone. I turned this on. My sisters are having babies now. Not now, but one of them had it 9 months ago, and one of them is having it in January. And I like to FaceTime with them when I'm around Wi-Fi, and I only want to FaceTime with them when they're at home around their Wi-Fi. So if you turn on Find My Friends, and you invite a family member, and this may be something you enact with your kids, this may not be. I am so sorry you are the only child in here today. If your parents do this to you, and you're probably an outstanding kid. If you turn on Find My Friends with your kids at a young age and go, look, I won't call you if I'm able to track or see where you're at, and you can see where I'm at, then you can have that early on. And here's how I sold that to my sister, who I have a very close relationship with my sister. She's like, that's creepy. You can see where I'm at. I go, yeah, but then I know when you're around the Wi-Fi, and I can FaceTime with you and my little nephew. And she's like, oh, good idea. OK. So she accepted it. It's a two-way acceptance in a native app in the iPhone. I don't know of an Android version of it, but if I find it, I'll email your school to email you. Find My Friends is really cool. They must accept you. You must accept them for the long term, not temporary sharing, but long-term sharing. When you open the app, only at that time does it ping their phone to say, send me your GPS locations. It doesn't load on their phone and drain their battery. It only asks at that one moment, will you use a little bit of data to send it to Josh? Because he's accepted on your list. Send it to him. Then you can see where your kids are going. I'm not saying your kids will want to do that, but it's a great little feature that iPhones have. OK, any questions there? Let's do this. I want to show you a tactical tip on how you can own your image and how your kids can own their image. Well, we're starting to move into more of the popular, cool stuff, where I teach kids how to look at the future. And this is a tactic I developed in my political campaign. I said, when people would get together in a group photo, I'd say, hey, why don't you use my phone? I've got a brand new little iPhone. Why don't you use it? It has tons of space. And I'd hand it to one of the staff members. I'd get in the middle of the photo, and I'd say, hey, why don't you snap 10 of them? And we'd all smile. And the technique I was using there was volunteering my phone to control my image. The reason for that is if any one of your random friends of friends of friends of kids decides to snap that photo, they could post the one where your kid has his eyes closed or decides to act stupid or looks funny. And that hurts your kid's brand, your kid's online image. Your kid gets picked on. But here, since you all are awesome parents and in this room, you probably have incredible kids. And so this technique will not only work on your kids, it'll work on your kids' friends. And here's what I mean. If your kids volunteer their phone to take a group photo when they're out on a Friday night being outstanding young citizens, and they say, hey, I'll post it to Instagram and I'll tag all of you, your kid can then scroll through the 7 photos that person took on their phone of them. They can pick the one where they look great. They can pick the one where not only they look great, but their friends look great. Rather than them in the lower right looking like they're all drunk, and rather than one in the lower left where it's silly and irrelevant, which you're going to hear about in a minute, and the one in the upper left that's a little too cheesy, the one in the upper right, they all look great. So they're in it, everybody's eyes are open, they're smiling perfect. Now your kid is a brand manager for themselves, and maybe a little bit more popular because their Instagram has the best photo. So when your kid wants to take a photo, it's totally great. Group photo, have them volunteer their phone. Right? Then they can be in control of their image. Little tactical tip that's kept me out of a lot of hot water. OK, and there's the photo I would pick out of them all. Cool. And that's because every one of your posts is like a button on an elevator. It's either going to take you up or it's going to take you down. It goes one direction. Nah, this one's gray area. No. It's either going to do one or the other. If it's gray area, it's not helping you. And when a college or employer sees you, it needs to help you. OK, next. What are your search results? And this is where we get to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to mosey on over here to get my water. Now, I want to teach kids that they need to start looking at themselves online. And that means use a major search engine. That could be Bing, whom I'm sponsored by, Microsoft, or Google, which 87% of us use, or something like that. And I'm going to teach your kids, many of them tomorrow, or I've already taught them, how to search for themselves online. How to start acting like adults rather than being silly and thinking that it's okay for any old photo to be posted about them. So what I'm going to show you right now are 4 different types of online results your kids could have. Most of them are going to fall in the first 3. First one, party mode. Now, if your kids are in middle school, this might not happen. If they're in high school, they might be fine. A lot of college students I talk to have this. That's where, when they search for themselves online, they click the image button, they have a ton of red cups. It means they're very social, they're having a good time. But that is not what you're going to want a college to see. Next one, Is it silly and irrelevant? That means when we search for you in an online system, are there a lot of selfies? Next, who is that? It means tons of other people. Some of your kids in this room are going to have a similar name to some other celebrity. And I'll show you a couple techniques there. And then last, positive and relevant. That means it's light, bright, and polite. So if you search for your kid someday, does your kid come up in a way that says this is what they do, this is how they volunteer, and it's very clear and concise so that a college or an employer would go, wow, this is right on from that resume. Okay, next. Any questions? How many of us have searched ourselves in the last month online, Google or Bing? Okay, raise it high, guys. Come on. Cool. Less than half of the room. Okay, I want to encourage you tonight to go home and search your kids and yourself. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Now, I'm going to show you what I share with a bunch of people, how to manage your Google reputation. I'm going to show you first how I Googled myself the wrong way, and then I'm going to show you the right way. Okay? First, you go to google.com or bing.com, and you type in your name or your kid's name. Now, I'm going to type in my name as an example, Josh Ochs. And as you can see up here, to the left of the top two results, you see that little tiny person? Those are personalized results. That means, oh, cool, joshochs.com, my personal website, twitter.com/Josh Ochs, so that's my Twitter username. Business Rockstars, which is a business AM radio station in Los Angeles where I was a guest speaker, makes me look kind of popular. Whoa, that's cool. Well, don't get too excited because it's all fake. Josh Ochs LinkedIn and Josh Ochs Facebook. So this looks neat, right? Awesome. This is the wrong way to look at yourself online. This is not what colleges or employers see. Let me explain why. If you're in the upper right, you see my little baby headshot up there? I'm logged into Gmail, which means I'm logged into Google, which means Google is paying attention to my search history. And Google's job in the world is very simple. It says we want to take the world's information and make it easy for other people to find it with one search. Hence why on the front of google.com it used to say, and it still does, I'm feeling lucky. You see that? Have you guys ever clicked that? That means it takes you to the first result on Google. All that means is I trust that this first result is going to be what I need. Okay, so if Google's job in the world is to take the world's information and make it easy for us to search, then that means this isn't right. And here's why. I've shared a bunch of stuff about myself. I'm following a bunch of friends on different networks that Google knows that I'm logged into. It's seen where I've clicked, what I liked, how many Gmail inbox emails I've gotten. And so it's giving me targeted results about a topic that it doesn't necessarily know is all about me. So I am going to show you two ways to fix this. We are essentially going to log out of Google so that we can see what colleges and employers would see when we Google ourselves. Let me repeat that. When you're logged into Google, you get personalized results. There could be cyberbullying here. Now, the reason in which I couldn't find on the first page of Google the mean people in politics who were saying mean things about me is because I was logged in. And my friends were not logged in under my name, so they were seeing the more organic results about me. So what I want you to do is see the organic results about your kids, and I want your kids to start seeing the organic results that the rest of the world sees. Fair enough? Is that clear? Okay, sometimes it's a little difficult. Sometimes I don't explain it the best. All right, in the upper right, here's what we're going to do. You are a different crowd, different age than what I'm used to. So how many of us use Chrome on your browser? Raise your hand. Don't be shy. Okay, a bunch of us. That's great. How many of us use Safari? How many of us use Firefox and Internet Explorer? Okay, a few of us. What I'm about to show you works for all of those, so bear with me as we do it for Chrome. And then we're going to do it for Firefox, which works the same as all the rest, okay? There's two ways to log out. One, if you have an hour to kill, which I'm sure all of us do, you could personally log out of Gmail, log out of Facebook, Instagram, and try and clear all your cookies wherever that setting is. And then you could go Google your kids and search. But then you'd have to try and get back in, and you'd have to try and remember your passwords, and that's exhausting. You'd have to pull out that Post-it that's somewhere, right? that has all your passwords on it. So I'm going to show you a little technique, a little secret. Look in the upper right. I have this emphasized menu button. They call that the hamburger icon. You see how it's 3 patties? It's 2 buns and a patty. That's the menu button on many of your apps. If you click on that, let's hide the rest of the page. If you click on that, you see how it says New Tab at the top, New Window, and then New Incognito Window. Many of us know that the New Tab opens up a new tab so we can browse the many websites at different times and come back to them. A new window opens up a different website in a different window so that we can put them side by side and compare and contrast. But a new incognito window, also known as New Private Browsing Window or New Private Window, does the following thing. It says, and if you click on that, it says, hey, in this one window, the rest of your windows are back here behind there. They're faded out a little bit. I opened a new window, says Chrome, which also could be Firefox and everything else. And your other stuff's open. Don't worry, we didn't log you out of Facebook, Google, Gmail, everything else. But I'm going to let you search around the web, says that creepy little man with the spy thing. You're running around the web, logged out of everything in this one little instance, in this one frame. You can open new frames in there and still be, but the web doesn't know who you are. How do I know that? When I go to google.com, you see how it says sign in the upper right in red? They want you to sign in because they want to know who you are. They want to get your behaviors. The more they know about you, the easier it is for them to market, build new products, and so on. Don't give in to that red sign-in button just for this one time. Instead, put your kid's name in there, your name, it doesn't matter. I'm going to search for Josh Ochs. Now, Google is saying, hey, in the upper right, the red button's still there. We don't know who you are. But since you're searching for Josh, we think he's a dude that lives in LA. Here's some photos about him. Uh-oh, were the photos on the last page? No. So employers and colleges are seeing photos. What's the first thing they're going to do? You see that they're going to click on one of those photos. And if they're smart, which they all are, they're going to click on the Images tab at the top, because the Images button right above my photos and the Images tab at the top, they all go to the same place. They go to a tab that shows images about this topic, which is Josh. And this is where those 4 buckets come into effect. Remember the party mode, the silly and irrelevant, the, and I forgot the third, I've got a lot in my head right now. And then there's the light, bright, and polite. All the 4 modes, which we're going to look at in a second, this is where they get into play because photos are going to start showing up of your kids. And people don't have time for text, they have time for pictures. We can absorb a photo in half a second, and we want to go through all of them, it's way faster. So let's go click on my photo image. You guys ready? Whoa, it's party mode. There's a lot of red cups there. You see that? Now this isn't actually my images. These are my images. I'm using this as an example. What if I was going to be hired by the Blue Valley School District to come here, and now those are my Google images? I'd be fired. My book would never sell more than 2 books other than my mom and my grandma, right? Now these are not my Google images. I am the 4th step of these, and we're going to walk through the 3 steps together. Your kids need to search for themselves logged out. Let's review what we've done. We've gone to Google, we've searched logged in, which is perfectly fine. Spend 10 minutes doing that. And then let's log out, essentially, and let's go through the images, both for yourself and for your kids. Okay? Here's party mode. Red solo cup, proceed to party. If your kids are dressed as a solo cup, holding a solo cup, we need to talk. Okay? You guys get the idea. Red cups, even if there's water in them, we don't need to use them because it just says something to employers and colleges. Next, silly and irrelevant. Miley Cyrus. Oh, she's so easy to make fun of. So silly and irrelevant, it doesn't mean it's terrible. She's not running around perhaps naked, and look, her tongue has such a problem that in one of them, they extended her tongue to go past the image. I don't know how they did that, but you get the point. Silly and irrelevant. It just has nothing to do. It doesn't add value, right? Okay, next, who are those people? These are a bunch of random people. If you Google your kid or yourself and the other weird people come up, it's like, okay, but how does that help me? This can confuse them. They could think, maybe that's Josh. Maybe that's Josh. I don't know I don't know. Maybe one of them's really inappropriate. I picked clean images, but maybe one of them that is named like your kid is not somebody you want to get confused. Next and last, positive and relevant. These are my results. Now, follow me along the top. I'm going to use the middle. These all look like me. This is me on the day of the election in the fog holding my name. Cool. Me with my dog, my politics photos. Who is that dude in the middle? Right in the middle. Who's that dude? Why is there a baby dressed as Harry Potter? Now, funny story, I put that up there as an example because 2 years ago, I was pinning on Pinterest when Pinterest was really hot and really popular, and I pinned something to a folder, or it's called a board, but we'll call it a folder. Pinterest being a network that's like Facebook, but it's all about taking things from the web and pinning them to a board so you can save them. Very popular with weddings and recipes. And for a short while, us men that were in social media tried to jump on it, and it didn't latch on. But for a short while, I was trying to entertain myself, and I had a folder or a board where I pinned things that it was a folder called Hilarious Things Worth Sharing. And I put a bunch of my favorite stuff in there. Well, it was around Halloween, and there's this kid dressed as Harry Potter, and I thought it was adorable that someone else had on their board, pinned on their board. I repinned it and saved it in that folder or that board. Harmless, right? How many of us are on Pinterest? Raise your hand. Almost half the room. Majority of women. It's very popular with all kinds of fun stuff. However, I just quickly realized, even though that isn't my content, I didn't first pin it, I just repinned it, it's coming up under my name. Now that's harmless. I've since unpinned it because I think it's kind of creepy if it's not my nephew and it's in my Google search results, right? But here's the point. What if your kid or you are setting an example for your kids and you think it's funny on Pinterest to pin something, seeing how quickly it came up for my results? I am nothing special. I'm just a regular dude, but I have a lot of popular results. It's hard to squeeze that far up in my image results because I have a lot of images out there. What if you accidentally, harmlessly, pin something that says, oh, this is a great way to make a martini, or a wonderful way, anything that's alcoholic in nature? What if I had one of those up there? It would say something different about me if it was a party picture or something that was harmless. How to host a great party with a beer bong or something different, right? I'm not saying you guys would do that, but it seems harmless on Pinterest until you realize that it can be seen all over, okay? So I've since removed Harry Potter baby, but I'm going to keep him up there because I think it's a good example. All right, next. On the left.
Josh,
yes.
How did you get Harry Potter baby out of there?
I unpinned it from my board.
Okay.
And I just hope and pray that it goes away. And if it doesn't, it's a good example of what could go wrong, which I'm kind of okay with. That's a good question. Yeah. I just unpinned it from my board. And I'll probably add more content to that board that's more wholesome so that Google sees that it's refreshing. I think sometimes when you delete things, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, I'll talk about it in a minute. Google's the world's best DVR. It doesn't like it when you delete things. It wants you to change things and see that they're changing, and then only then it'll let things go away. If you tell your kids not to do something, what do they want to do? They want to do it. So if you take things away from Google, it provides a wall for people to go, hey, this used to be here, we've cached it. We're going to provide what used to be here about Josh. So I'd rather sometimes change it. So Google still thinks, oh, you're just updating. You're awesome. We won't cache it. Make sense? Okay, next. Yes? We're going to talk about that. The question for those of you in video land is, what do I do when people have my same name or my kid's name? And I have a couple of tactical tips for that. It's a very big issue. I'd say 10% of people have that problem. Okay, on the left, me logged in looking at myself. On the right, me logged out seeing what the rest of the world sees. Now, I want to talk to you for just a moment, and you can use this on your kids and yourself. Notice, remember when people used to say, there's a big news article out today, and somebody would ask, well, was it above the fold or below the fold? And that means on the newspaper, was it on the front, in the front of the store, so that you could see it standing in the Starbucks aisle just looking at it? Or did you have to open it up and look at the bottom of it? Above the fold information is very easy for employers and colleges to see. In fact, it's easy for everybody to see. So notice how I've only shown you above the fold. That's the first 5 results or so. Here's what I want you to do. We're going to show you how to fill those first 5 results and hopefully the first 10 results, which is the whole front page of your kid's newspaper. We're going to show you how to fill those full of good, wholesome things that your kids can control. What does that mean? You can control things where you have a username and can log into them to post content. That means Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and other networks that you can delete things and adjust your bio and so on. Now, above the fold is very important, and this is why I want you to search for yourself. Most employers and also colleges are only going to look at the first page. They don't have time for the second page. If you can give them what they want on the first page, why would they go to the second page? They've got what they want. They trust it. 93% of people stay on the first page. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. And this is personalized results on the left. And notice how the Business Rockstars, the AM radio station, did not end up on the right. Notice how I thought, oh, it's popular, neat. No, it didn't end up on the right. That was only because I had shared it that it was on the personalized results. Okay. Next, if you have Firefox, here's the orange button in the upper left. You click on it, and it goes to New Private Window. You can click on New Private Window. Same thing works in Safari. And then it opens up a new window. See how everything else is frosted out in the back at the top? That means they're all still there. You can now search and Google yourself logged out. Okay. Any questions so far? I know I moved quick on that. I'm getting a few glazed looks. Did that work okay? Yes, in the front. Does your incognito or private browsing window come up in your history? I think it does, and maybe not. Okay. It might not. I can look into that. What it's more designed for is not to hide from your behaviors. It's trying to hide from you from the web. You can turn that setting on and off if I remember correctly. I think you can. I might be wrong. Maybe there's a technology person. That's a very specific question I can answer later. I don't have an answer for it. I think it's not here to protect you. It's here to hide you from the web. But I could be wrong. It's a very good question. Are many of your kids doing this? Do you know about the incognito or private through them? You're saying your kids are doing it for that reason? Okay, some kids think they can do it for that reason, but I don't think that I think there's a feature you can turn on, like track incognito mode. I don't know. I'm speculating. Okay, here's a technique that we use for kids. I cannot meet with each one of your kids online, but I can teach them how to work with their best friend to clean up their image. So here's a technique. Who's your best friend? And they're always pointing to somebody in the room. Ask your best friend to look at your Instagram or your Twitter or your most popular network. And I want you, and this is the best friend challenge, to ask your BFF and say, hey, I won't get upset at you, but over the next few days, just find one photo, please, that I should remove. I want to clean up my image. I think I'm pretty shining online, but tell me how to clean up my image, and you can tell me anything you want. And then when your friend comes to you, ask them why. Why should I clean this up? And your friend will say the following thing, well, are you sure you're not going to get mad at me? And I said, no, it's okay. I want to learn. And I've done this with my friends, and I've removed a few images because it wasn't good for politics or what I do now. And they'll say, well, remember when your grandma was turning whatever age and she threw a birthday party and there was only water there, but some bozo, instead of buying clear cups, bought red cups. And you had a water and you were talking to somebody, your brother went to the bathroom, you held his water, and all of a sudden someone took a photo. It looks like you're double fisting it at your grandma's birthday party. And your kid would probably say to their friend, oh, that was so much fun. My aunt was there, this person was there, it's great. And their friend would say, no, it's not great, because guess what an employer sees? They don't see your grandma, your family. They don't see the water. They only see the red cup and the random dude in the back drinking as well, right? So what employers see is very different than the actual story that we tell ourselves online or in our head. Next, I would probably, and I'm going to use this tomorrow with your kids, I would probably tell my friend Justin, I'd say, hey, you know, you were backstage one day and you were drinking a water, but you really looked like you had just smoked weed. Justin Bieber, you might want to take that photo down. Now, Justin doesn't care, but your kids are going to get entertained and go, oh, I know that guy. But look out, right? It's not very, is it an up button or a down button? Probably doesn't look so great. And then if I were to talk to Miley Cyrus and tell her to remove one of her photos, I'd probably say, Miley, we probably need to work on when people say to smile, you probably need to smile, right? This is an example your kids can get because I want to show them that when they feel insecure and they want to do this, this lasts a long time. So they can smile instead, right? Okay, cool. That's the BFF technique. Have your friends look at your social media profiles and tell you which one should you remove. All right, next. Here's a secret to getting found online. And this is a great technique for those of you that have another person that has a name like yours. I want you to consider using the same profile photo, the exact same photo for all of your accounts. What does that mean? Well, here's my photos, different accounts. Look, here's me in one on the left, middle, right. Different accounts, cool, whatever I feel like. Well, guess how hard it is for a college or an employer to search for Josh, and there's 100 other Josh Ochses out there. Which one is which? I'm making it hard for them. What if I took one image and just made that the standard image across all my networks so they could find it easy, so that all of a sudden when they're searching, they go, no, I'm seeing a yellow brick road that I'm going to follow. It seems like Josh is really consistent. There's all these other people out there, but Josh seems to be really good at using one photo. So that's a little tactical tip. Next, because you know why? Colleges and employers are going to go on Facebook. They're going to try and find you. They're going to go on Instagram, LinkedIn, and everything else. Make it easy. If you hide yourself or you privatize your account, they want to know, why is your kid privatizing their account? What do they have to say that's so private? And then it brings up more, and they want to dig in deeper and deeper. I'm not saying it's bad to privatize. I'm just saying that is the sense that they get. I have employees. I am an employer, and that's what I ask myself. Most HR departments will not tell you what I'm telling you. I've kind of made a little bit of a side career out of being honest with you, and nobody's really going to sue me for this because it's all in research for my book, right? Okay. Do you feel comfortable, teenagers and tweens, printing out your Instagram or Twitter page for a college application? Bless you. Do you feel comfortable printing that out and saying, hey, you've looked at my resume, you've seen that I have a great GPA, but here's what I do on the weekends. Here's me as a volunteer person. Here's me traveling with my family. Do you think these people, like Miley Cyrus, feels comfortable printing that out? And kids look at this and they go, wow, that's very similar to what I do. I'm being silly and irrelevant, right? Now, they might be set to private, which is fine. But the reason I tell them that is also because Google is the world's best DVR. It records your online social media drama across all of your channels and will replay them on demand for everyone. You don't have to pay the $5 cable fee for that box. You don't have to keep your service on or subscribe to the HBO. We're all familiar with those fees. It's there listening to every photo, every piece of text. Your kids don't get this. They don't understand. They don't know the future. And that's why we Google them. And you need to do this with them. I think that's going to be the best thing. Say, hey, teach me. Let me show you a technique because you know how to log out. How are people searching for me? Well, I want you to consider, and do this with your kids, set up all of your accounts with the same name you use on your resume. Now, I am Josh Ochs, even though my full name that my parents gave me is Joshua. I don't really go by Joshua. So if I went by Joshua, but Josh, it would really confuse things. So I stuck my usernames to what people call me, because they're going to Google that, Josh Ochs. Hence, I set up Twitter and Instagram as an example. Look how my username, which is also my URL, is Josh Ochs. Why do I care about this? Because Google's job in the world, Google cannot be fooled. Your kids are not smarter than Google. In fact, they have the world's smartest engineers because they have the world's biggest budgets. A lot of my friends work there. Google likes it when a URL, a title of a website, and the description and the body of the website all have the same text. And what I mean by that is you can't put the word Josh Ochs 100 times on a blog post and be like, yeah, when I search Josh Ochs, that one comes up because it has it the most. Google is so smart about how subtle it should be that I'm going to give you some very advanced search engine optimization techniques, which kids call SEO these days. And what that means is, how do we take good content that your kids control and put it on that first page of Google, the top 10? This is one of those techniques. Take the name that people would Google on the resume, put that in the URL. So when your kids sign up, if your kids have hottestbody47 at gmail.com, which actually is a username that I used in some of my old slides, that isn't going to help them get found, nor is it something they should be known as to a college. So use that first name, right? First and last. Next, use your middle initial if you want to get away from other people's results. How many of us in this room have Googled ourselves and it happens to be another person that owns that front page? Raise your hand. And here's a little technique. I don't have one technique that works. I have a couple little subtle things. One, start using that image that helps everybody know who you are, the same image on every network. Two, start using your middle initial, which is probably very different than that person's name. Three, if you have a really big problem with, some of the kids have come up to me afterward and they said, hey, listen, there's an adult film star out there with my same name. It's really a problem. How am I going to get past this? I have a great idea for you. Start using your middle initial on everything. Tell people also, please Google me with my middle initial in there. I would like you to see my results and not someone else's. And be honest with them up front. They'll appreciate that and they'll go, why? And you go, look, I just would like you to do that. You'll see a very different person. You're welcome to look at the differences. But when you include my name in quotes and my middle initial, you'll just get me. And that way your kids can put all that content. And it also sets them apart because they're setting the college or employer up for success in finding them, saying, I want you to weed through all the noise and find just me. Okay? So that's a little tactical tip for some of you there. Where should you be? And I'm going to give you a bunch of networks. I'm going to cut right to the chase. You could be on all these social networks. I want to show you what employers are going to like and your kids are going to like, and colleges are going to want to find you. And we also need to care about what Google is going to search. First, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great place for kids who are over 13 to start putting their projects, their accomplishments, their volunteer work. It's discovered by Google very quickly. It allows you to put only one photo professionally up there. It lets your kids start to learn how to network with each other. There's almost zero cyberbullying on it, and it will last another 20 years. Why do I know that? It's lasted 11 so far, which in internet years is like 100. It's well funded and everything else. It's a good place to start playing around is LinkedIn, showing your kids how to set up an online resume there. Next, Google+. Boy, Josh, you picked the most unpopular social network, and this is the lamest one I've ever seen. That's what your kids are going to say tomorrow. But here's why I picked that one, and here's why it's important. Remember, our objective is to own that first page, also above the fold of Google. Google+ is owned by Google. Guess who gets unfair advantage to their algorithm? Google+. So whenever you post on Google+ as your first and last name on your resume, the same name you come up with that you want to be searched for, all of a sudden that pops up pretty high in the feed. Okay? You don't have to post there every day. Go in once a week, once a month, and post a new photo. Another little tactical tip I'm going to tell your kids tomorrow, if I remember this one. It's in the book. It's okay at this time to talk in the third person on Google+. Here's why. No one else is on it, but Google's listening to it. And if you include your name like a journalist would, then all of a sudden Google+ hears your name in the message. It sees it everywhere else and so on. Okay, your domain. Mine is joshochs.com, as you saw up on the top of my list of my results. I showed you my results a lot. And the reason it likes that is Google likes to see a website .com that has those exact words that you're looking for. It's a no-brainer that Google says, you know, if they've bought a .com, which is the most popular domain out there, and it's spelled exactly the same, we're probably going to find that this is the leader in that topic. So we teach kids that for $10, they need to go out and try and find the .com of their name that they feel proud of setting up online. Here's a little tip. You can go to wordpress.com and give your kids $10 or your credit card and say, go buy your domain with your name with the intent that we want it to show up. Go have some fun. And I'm going to show you the next step of how how to get your kids to post some good stuff. Okay, next, YouTube. Why YouTube? It's owned by Google. It gets unfair advantage in the Google search results. And I want you to take a quick look at this. And I don't have a slide of it. But kids ask me, well, what can I post? And I give them an example of me. I say, look, I have a Jeep Grand Cherokee and the headlights went out one day. For $350, I could go to the dealership and they'd fix it. I realized that on Amazon.com, I could buy 2 headlights for 80 bucks that are even nicer than the dealership has, and that I could research online and figure out how to change them in an hour. I ended up turning that whole process into a 5-minute video where I teach other people how to do it. 5,000 people have viewed my little silly video of how to change your headlights in a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now I'm known for helping other people, as silly as it is to change headlights. If a client or a teacher or even my mom saw that, they'd be like, hey, that's kind of cool. You're helping others. Okay? So that's what I want to teach your kids. If you can play the violin, the ukulele, if you can cook, if you can do anything, you can maybe, whatever it is, your kids can probably do something that they could help others. Not so much gaming. If they're taking about, I meet a bunch of kids that are like, I'm gaming and I have 10 followers. No, we need to get into something more productive, more real life. Okay. Twitter as well. This is a good place to be. Your kids love Twitter. They also love Instagram. But Twitter's a great place to get above the fold. All right. Oh, Instagram as well. Didn't know I had enough room down there. And you can take a picture of this if you want to save it. Sure. Okay, so the question is, hey, we've had a lot of problem with our school. What school, if I may ask?
Oxford Middle School.
Oxford Middle School has had a lot of problems because Instagram is hard to track back to one kid if they can change their username a lot. Instagram being the picture app that has square photos, the guy with the wristwatch that was very expensive. You're probably right. None of these apps are safe. Even giving your kid a bicycle versus a car, neither one of them are safe. Bicycle being a little bit safer with a helmet and knowing where to ride, your kid can still get hurt. I agree. And Instagram is not perfect, and I'm not here to tell you how to make it. I cannot make the world more rosy. But I do believe that Instagram is safer because it ties back to a reputation. Let's get inside your kid's head. Once again, I'm not a PhD, but I am a marketer, and by day I market to people and I get inside families' heads to get them to buy products from big companies. Let me get inside your kid's head for a sec. Your kid cares very much about followers. How many followers can I get? And how many likes can I get on each photo on Instagram? Because when people double click on that or click the heart below it, it's a like, it's a heart. Your kid cares very much about building a reputation and getting that instant feedback of how many likes do I get on each photo, right? And so they want to they slowly build up a reputation around their name or their username. Even if they don't have a bio, they build up this, oh, I want to get more followers and more followers. And people start knowing them as that username. Typically, they're going to have their first and last name, but they don't have to. So it's going to be rare that there's going to be a ton of followers around somebody that continually changes their username because it's going to be hard to know and remember and search for. You're right, somebody could start one and start taking negative pictures and log in. It's exhausting, I agree, to follow that. But for the most part, the good side of Instagram is that it encourages people to build a reputation, which anonymous apps do not. Anonymous apps are disposable thoughts. Never come up with that phrase before, but I think that's a really good one. Disposable thoughts. You can throw it out there, see if it works. It could hurt somebody, but it won't hurt you. It's like your diary, and it doesn't come back to haunt you. But on Instagram, it seems like it's a lot less. You actually physically have to take a photo, so it's a little bit harder. So I agree, there can be some bullying, but the nice thing is kids can come and show it to you. On Snapchat, you get none of that. It's like a car going 100 miles an hour with no top on it, no seat belt. I'm not saying Snapchat's bad. Whisper in secret is like flying an airplane with no seatbelt and not knowing how to fly it, because your kids are too young to understand what these feelings are of getting cyberbullied. They're like me in politics getting cyberbullied, except I was an adult at the time and it still hurt. So I would, to come full circle, highly recommend that if your kids are on Instagram, that's a great place if they want to hang out there. Just have a dialogue with them. Come show me something if you feel inappropriate. Open door policy. Show it to me. Is that okay for you? Okay. I can't tell you to tell your kid not to be on Instagram. They're going to hate you, and they're going to hate me even more. Fair enough? You could also go hang out with them on Instagram. Set up your own account. Don't comment or like. Don't do the, honey, baby, I'm so excited to see you tonight. Oh, heart. Right? I know some kids want that. I said that online in one of my videos. We get a few thousand views. It'll be one sec. We get a few thousand views on my videos, and some of the kids are like, no. Some parents said, some kids do like the likes. Well, that's great. Consider this. Consider doing it in person around the dinner table. You'll have something to talk about. Hey, so what happened in your life today? Did you get to do this? And you're really thinking about that image and subtly letting them take that direction, right? It's a great way to be get that privilege of being their friend online and keeping it. Yes, here in the pink, or the whatever, yeah. Sorry. Very good question. The question is, Josh, if I go in and delete a lot of those images that came up under my kid's name or my name, will they go away? Or does Google own those? Or who owns those? And how do they go away? And do they go away? With that pin, it doesn't necessarily have to go away because it's hosted somewhere else, not my site. If I delete it from my site or I delete it off of Twitter, eventually, usually it will go away. And here's why. Google doesn't have enough space to carry the world's images on its back. That's a lot of technology. That's a lot of hard drive space. It does have space to hold and store and retrieve the world's text, because text takes up very little space. But images take up a lot of space. So sometimes it does store images, but they're really low resolution, but most of the time it gets rid of them. Okay, if they do something negative towards you, is this a real life thing or are you just... Okay, let's move on to good stuff, and then I'll come back to you to talk about that later. Is that fair enough? I got a lot of really good stuff to counteract that in a moment. Yes?
Videos, or if they like it, you make money. Then you have to talk about, is that real? Are they really making money?
Yeah. Let's talk about that later, because that's not going to help your kids. I will talk with you about that. There is no way to monetize very much at all right now. I don't see that as a big problem, but I can come back and answer that later for you. Is that fair? The question was, can your kids make money with online video? I think it's a little bit of a diversion from right now. I want to help your kids impress. If you don't mind, I'll answer that later. Okay, cool. Let's create a portfolio of positive online images. This is my last section of the talk tonight, and then I'm going to let you all go home and go to bed, because I know I'm exhausted. So here we go. What I want to do is I want to give your kids volunteer ideas. It doesn't, and I have every kid raise their hand. Raise your hand if you're volunteering once a month. A lot of them raise their hand. I go, look, if you're not, or if you are, I want to give you some ideas. You can go to an animal shelter, a hospital, a senior home, the Red Cross, Habitat for Humanity, or just go walk your neighbor's dog with a friend. It's that easy. And why am I having them do this? Because if you live a life that's light, bright, and polite in real life, it's going to end up online, and I'm going to show them some subtle ways to have this bleed into their online digital footprint. Okay, next. Once you've figured out how you're going to volunteer, what I want your kids to do is, as they're doing it in a group with other people, maybe they're friends, maybe new people, at the end of the day of building a house for Habitat for Humanity or something else, take a classy group photo with the other volunteers. Not a selfie. Not about them. Take a classy group photo. Watch. Here's the formula. Take a classy group photo, plus in the message I want them to consider saying thanks, plus including the organization's name, plus the activity, plus the outcome. Now here's a little hidden secret for all of you out there. You guys want to post on your social media about work events? As long as you're not sharing secret company data, your employer would love to see this formula, and let me show you why. If you took a classy group photo of you at a work barbecue and said thank you to Cisco for hosting such a great company event, I had so much fun hanging out with my coworkers. Thanking your employer every time works, unless it's some secret thing. But 95% of the time, the employer looks at that and goes, awesome, thank you. They approve that. Because whenever we thank those that we want to get into or those that give us the opportunity to help them, it works. Let me show your kids in this same line how to do this. Thank you for thank you to Habitat for Humanity for giving my friends the chance to help build a home for the Hardnet family. Now your kid is in there in one of those, right? And people know who your kid is because they click on the profile image to the upper left. They've been searching your kid. They go, whoa, this person has friends. Person works well with groups. This person gives back. This tells a great story. And they're humble in how they're thanking. Okay, next. Thank you to our local hospital for giving my friends the chance to assist in the child care division this weekend. We were fortunate to work with 30+ kids to help them feel better. You post something like this on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, anything else, and a company, then it changes your Google results a little bit. So when you search for images, this comes up. An employer or a college sees this, they go, wow, we have to have this person in for a second round interview. This is cool. This is even better than their resume. Their resume says they have a 4.0, but this says they have a heart. Here's a senior. How many of us have kids at Blue Valley High School? Raise your hand. This is a senior from last year that I met with, Elise Arney. Elise is the young woman there on the left. She does this so well, I can't help but not show you this young woman. I used her in front of all of her class of students. Watch what she does. This young woman gets it. She posts this on Twitter. I'm so proud of my BVHS Tigers. Shout out to Chance for being my favorite player and my best friend. Love you. Watch what happens on the next photo. She had a power outage here in the Overland Park area last year around Christmas time. Most kids would complain, not her. Watch this. She writes, I'm so thankful to have such a great family. I had a great day even with our power outage. I did not ask her to send this. She did this all on her own before I met her. She posts a great picture of her siblings and the dog. This kind of thing, now if you want to be silly and a kid, that's fine, but this counteracts a lot of stuff. Somebody took a group photo, she posted it, okay? Next, I had so much fun on my college visit to KU today. I'm so ready for next year. As we learned about the Cisco example, just because you're into something, accept it, it doesn't mean you're guaranteed. You can get asked to let go. So if she had done anything to that school mascot that was inappropriate, right? Okay, next and last, and this is where she includes one of her best friends. My girl, thanks for being a great supporter. Now, pretty classy photo, but let's read that Instagram or that Twitter username together. The Shiznit21. The Shiznit. So this is a great time for you to talk with your kids and say, what are your usernames? Not that we want to follow you, but do you know that when colleges Google you, they still find you, and your username says more about you than anything. It's great for, remember how I taught you earlier, have your username your first and last? That's because they're going to find you. You might as well have Google put it on the first page. You gotta give Google everything at once. This doesn't help Google find you, and you can't hide from the employer. Okay? It doesn't make you look good. Next, here's me today with some students from Blue Valley West. Are these any of your kids? No? Okay. They said, take our photo! And I said, all right, be nice. They came all the way to Eudora to talk about the CAPS program. And Microsoft as well. Thank you to Microsoft for giving me the opportunity to share with dozens of kids. Another little tactical tip, I'm a nerd. I say, all right, everybody raise your hands, yay! And everybody raise their hands. And then USC, thanks for giving me the opportunity to train one of your sororities on LinkedIn Boot Camp for Employers, and UCLA as well, a TED Talk type of thing. So I'm trying to teach kids, it's a great way to thank people, group photo, no peace signs, nothing Miley Cyrus, and so on. All right, let's review everything that we post, keeping it light, bright, and polite. Offer your camera to take group photos so that you own your image. Search for yourself every month if you can. Click that image button at the top and share lots of classy group photos each month. And thank the organization, and that will slowly move your online resume, which is now Google and Bing, in the right direction. People are no longer looking at your Microsoft Word, your PDF, or your printed out resume. They're taking that and they're Googling you and searching for you online. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, you can go to safesmartsocial.com. You see that on the screen. I've got a ton of videos there. We've got a newsletter, whatever you want. It's all free for all of you. Practicing for my new book. So hey, I want to thank all of you for coming out. You guys are great. This is awesome.